The early 17th century was a turbulent time for Russia, a period marked by immense strife and uncertainty. The country was in chaos, with its people suffering greatly. This period was known as the Time of Troubles, a name that would forever be etched in the annals of Russian history. There was widespread famine and relentless war, tearing the fabric of society apart. Different factions fought fiercely for the throne, each vying for power and control. The country was in desperate need of stability, a beacon of hope to guide it through the darkness.
In 1613, I emerged as a symbol of hope, a figure who could restore order. I was chosen by an assembly of nobles to be the new Tsar, a decision that would change the course of history. This decision marked the beginning of the Romanov Dynasty, a new era for Russia. It would rule Russia for the next 3 centuries, shaping its destiny.
Mikhail was a shrewd and capable ruler, understanding the needs of his people. He restored order to the country, rebuilding towns and villages. He ended the time of troubles, bringing an end to the chaos. He brought peace and stability back to Russia, allowing it to flourish once more. His reign laid the foundation for the Romanov dynasty's future power and influence. It set the stage for a period of significant growth and expansion for Russia, both economically and territorially. The Romanovs were about to embark on a journey, one that would be filled with both triumph and tragedy. It would be a journey marked by great achievements and profound losses. They would leave an indelible mark on Russia's history and its people, a legacy that endures to this day. Under the Romanovs, Russia underwent a period of significant transformation marked by both internal and external changes. The country expanded its territory significantly, stretching its borders far and wide. It consolidated its power through strategic military campaigns and alliances. As a result, Russia emerged as a major player on the European stage, engaging in diplomacy and forging relationships with other powerful nations. The Romanovs were ambitious rulers, driven by a vision to elevate Russia's status and influence. They sought to modernize Russia, implementing various reforms aimed at improving the economy and infrastructure. Strengthening the military was a key priority for the Romanovs. They invested heavily in training and equipping their forces. Their ultimate goal was to expand Russia's influence both regionally and globally through a combination of military might and diplomatic efforts. One of the most consequential Romanovs was Peter the Great, a ruler whose impact on Russia was profound and far-reaching. He ruled from 1682 to 1725, a period marked by significant change and development. Peter was a visionary leader with a clear understanding of the need for Russia to modernize in order to compete with Western Europe. He recognized the need for Russia to modernize and implemented sweeping reforms that touched every aspect of Russian society. These reforms were comprehensive, affecting the military, the economy, and even the cultural fabric of the nation. Peter was fascinated by Western Europe. He traveled there extensively, learning from the advancements and practices he observed. He brought back new ideas about science, technology, and government, eager to implement them in Russia. He was determined to transform Russia into a modern, powerful state, capable of standing toe-to-toe with the great powers of Europe. However, Peter's reforms were not without their critics. Many Russians resisted his changes, seeing them as a threat to their traditional way of life. They saw them as a betrayal of traditional Russian values and customs, but Peter was undeterred by this opposition. He believed that his reforms were essential for Russia's survival and future prosperity. He was convinced that modernization was the only path forward. He believed that his reforms were essential for Russia's survival. He was determined to drag Russia into the modern world, whether it wanted to go or not. His legacy is a testament to his vision and determination as Russia emerged stronger and more influential on the global stage. Peter the Great's reign was marked by ambitious reforms and military triumphs. His vision for Russia was grand and transformative, aiming to propel the nation onto the world stage. He modernized the Russian army and navy, bringing in European experts to train his forces. He reorganized the government, creating new administrative divisions to streamline governance. He introduced new educational institutions, emphasizing the importance of science and technology. These schools were designed to cultivate a new generation of Russian leaders and innovators. He promoted trade and industry, establishing new trade routes and encouraging the development of local industries. His policies aimed to reduce Russia's dependence on foreign goods.
One of my most enduring legacies was the founding of St. Petersburg in 1703. This city was built from the ground up, symbolizing a new era for Russia. I built this new capital city on the shores of the Baltic Sea, strategically positioning it to enhance trade and cultural exchange with Europe. I envisioned it as Russia's window to the West, a place where European ideas and innovations could flow into the country.
St. Petersburg quickly became a symbol of Russia's newfound status as a European power. Its architecture and layout reflected the influence of Western design. Peter's reforms transformed Russia into a major European power. His efforts laid the groundwork for a modernized, more competitive nation. They laid the foundation for the country's continued growth and expansion in the centuries that followed, setting the stage for Russia's emergence as a global player. His reign remains a pivotal chapter in Russian history, remembered for its sweeping changes and lasting impact. However, Peter's reforms came at a cost. The rapid changes and harsh methods often led to widespread suffering. They were often implemented brutally, with little regard for the well-being of the common people. They placed a heavy burden on the Russian people, particularly the serfs, who bore the brunt of the labor and taxation. This created a legacy of autocracy and serfdom, entrenching a system of inequality and oppression. It would continue to plague Russia for centuries to come, shaping the nation's social and political landscape in profound ways. The Romanovs continued to rule Russia for another 2 centuries after Peter the Great. They presided over a period of great power and prestige, but beneath the surface of this imperial grandeur, cracks began to appear. The vast majority of Russians lived in poverty. They were tied to the land as serfs. They had little say in their own governance. The gap between the wealthy elite and the impoverished masses grew wider with each passing decade. The 19th century witnessed the rise of revolutionary movements in Russia. These movements were fueled by the growing discontent among the peasantry and the intelligentsia. They yearned for freedom and social justice. The Romanov Tsars, clinging to their absolute power, failed to address the underlying social and economic problems plaguing Russia. This only served to further alienate the populace and create a fertile ground for revolution.
By the beginning of the 20th century, Russia was a nation on the brink. The country was deeply divided. The economy was in shambles. The people were weary of war and poverty.
The Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905 exposed the weaknesses of the Tsarist regime. It led to widespread unrest and calls for reform.
The 1905 revolution forced me to concede some power. I agreed to establish a parliament, the Duma. However, I was a reluctant reformer. I was determined to hold on to my autocratic power. I soon backtracked on many of my promises.
The Tsar's failure to address the root causes of the people's discontent only served to hasten the coming revolution. Nicholas II, the last Romanov Tsar, ascended to the throne in 1894. He inherited a country rife with social and political turmoil. He was ill-equipped to deal with the challenges facing Russia.
I was a deeply conservative ruler. I believed in the divine right of kings. I was resistant to change. I surrounded myself with advisors who shared my views.
The Tsarina Alexandra, Nicholas's wife, exerted a powerful and often detrimental influence over him. She was a deeply religious woman, easily swayed by mystics and faith healers.
Her association with the infamous Grigory Rasputin, a self-proclaimed holy man, further tarnished the reputation of the monarchy. It fueled public anger and distrust toward the Tsar and his family.
Section 7. Revolution and Abdication. World War I proved to be the final nail in the coffin of the Romanov Dynasty. The war exacerbated Russia's existing problems. It exposed the incompetence and corruption of the Tsarist regime. Millions of Russians died on the battlefields. The home front faced severe food shortages and economic hardship.
In February 1917, a revolution erupted in Petrograd. The Tsar's authority crumbled. He was forced to abdicate on March 15, 1917, bringing an end to the 300-year reign of the Romanovs.
The abdication of Nicholas II marked the beginning of a new chapter in Russian history. It ushered in a period of immense upheaval and uncertainty as the country grappled with the challenges of building a new society from the ashes of the old. Section 8. Imprisonment and execution. Following his abdication, Nicholas II and his family were placed under house arrest. They were held captive first in the Alexander Palace at Tsarskoye Selo and later in Tobolsk, Siberia. The provisional government, which had come to power after the February Revolution, debated their fate.
However, the Bolsheviks, a radical socialist group led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in October 1917. They had little sympathy for the deposed Tsar and his family. They viewed them as symbols of the old order that they were determined to destroy.
In the early hours of July 17, 1918, Nicholas, Alexandra, and their 5 children were taken to the basement of a house in Yekaterinburg, where they were brutally executed by a Bolshevik firing squad. The killings marked a tragic end to the Romanov dynasty. Section 9. The legacy of the Romanovs. The Romanov dynasty left an indelible mark on Russia. They ruled for 3 centuries. They oversaw a period of significant territorial expansion, cultural development, and military power. However, their reign was also marked by autocracy, social inequality, and ultimately revolution. The Romanovs' failure to address the needs and aspirations of the Russian people led to their downfall.
In modern-day Russia, the Romanovs remain a subject of fascination and debate. Some view them as visionary leaders who modernized Russia. Others see them as ruthless autocrats who oppressed their people.
Section 10. A timeless tale. The story of the Romanovs is a timeless tale of power, ambition, and tragedy. It serves as a reminder that even the most powerful empires can crumble if they fail to adapt to the changing times. The Romanovs' legacy continues to shape Russia today. It reminds us that power is transient.
True progress requires listening to the voices of the people. It demands justice and equality for all.